Hello everyone, and welcome back to Let's Play Choice of Robots with me, Alfapiomega. Now today we are going to start chapter 5 of Choice of Robots, but first of all let's do well, this time not such a small but quite a big review and see what we have come up with throughout this Let's Play. I wanted to remind myself as well because it has been a couple of days since I last played this. I would bet it was over a week, so let's get back into it the proper way. So the current year is 2025. We are a 30-year-old Rudolph Calvin. Our humanity is 64%, gender male, fame 6, we have our own Wikipedia page. The wealth is 2, we're getting by. We are married to Ellie. So far for our personal life. Now Lillian, our homemade robot, has an autonomy of 14, military of 7, empathy of 13, and grace of 23. So grace is her strongest side. Now our relationships, Professor Ziegler 26%, Ellie 86%, which I'm most happy about. Josh, very good, 64%. We bought his company if I remember correctly. Mark, 77%. Tammy, 80%, which is great as well. And President Irons, we gave her a lot of our funds and we have 59% with her for that. The world power balance, as we are starting at the brink of US-China war, is 50-50. And here's the summary of completed chapters. Chapter 1. On the day you first built Lillian, you awoke from a dream about the robot companion to head to the lab. Your graduate school advisor pressured you to make Lillian more acceptable to the military. After some back and forth, you ended up making a plastic bipedal robot with a masked head and humanoid hands. You then went to a sushi place and a production of Pippin with Ellie, where you vowed to not let ambition get in the way of your relationships with other people. You both went back to your place afterwards, kissed, totally made out, and eagerly anticipated showing Ellie your robot the next day. The next day, you hooked up Lillian's motorcycle battery and demoed for Ellie. You then spent the afternoon trying to teach science to a bunch of kids with Ellie. As months passed, you became busy teaching Lillian about the world through high school textbooks and taking her to the dump. One day, however, Professor Ziegler claimed that Lillian was not appealing enough to the military and demanded you change her. You refused, and Professor Ziegler kicked you out of his lab. In time, Mark Alley, a reporter for the San Francisco Chronicle, heard about Lillian and asked for an interview. You agreed. You gave Mark an interview and allowed Mark to come back to your place to interview Lillian. Mark invited you to his place to try to get to know you better. There, you found that drones often harassed Mark because various automated algorithms have marked him as suspicious. Mark wrote an article that was generally positive about you and Lillian. Mark's article attracted the attention of one Robot Obsession 1987, known in real life as Tammy Cooper. When you met her over coffee, she told you that she used to do classified robotics work for a government lab, but left because she couldn't tell what nefarious purpose the technology would be used for. That Saturday, Ellie asked you to stay out of the limelight a little more often. You managed to smooth things over, but it felt like a dangerous point in your relationship. Soon thereafter, your father passed away. You resolved then to work on better medical technology that could save people like your father in the future. You decided the best way to change the world was to start a business, which you named Lillian Works. Ellie and Tammy had already volunteered to be your first employees. And now chapter 4. Your first potential client for Lillian Works was Gallon Medical, a surgical equipment company. They were happy with the state of your technology and gave you a contract that allowed you to purchase a factory. That allowed you to build a robot factory in Alaska. You hired an all-human workforce as a gesture to the local community. When you finally shipped robots to Gallon Medical, they were pleased with the robots you delivered. Your company did well enough that Josh gave up and joined your company. Oh yeah, we bought his company, that's right. Your business suffered a blow when Chinese companies, aided by Chinese government hackers, began to steal your technology. You were visited by a politician, Jacqueline Irons, who asked for a campaign donation. You gave significant donations, and Irons won the presidency. The newly elected president enacted a series of protectionist bills that ultimately made China angry, and they cut off the US supply of rare earths. Wait, what? And they cut off the US supply of rare earths. Oh, okay. Meanwhile, you married the love of your life, Ali. The tension between the United States and China came to a head with the assassination of the Chinese Prime Minister in San Francisco. War followed shortly thereafter. So this is the starting starting? This is the starting situation we are in right now, and we are going to continue from this point. Achievement, resilient. A company you founded survived its startup phase. Cool. So, 3 months into the war, neither China nor the United States have gained much ground. Several US carriers have been sunk, while American bombing runs performed by robot drones have taken out factories near Shanghai. The halls of the United Nations are filled with Vorfreude at the thought of the two superpowers extending all their military power and attention on each other for a while. Your business is doing well. As businesses directly supplying the more effort ramp up, they need the labor, and that puts more of the country to work, improving the economy, plus wealth. You receive an email invitation from Major Juliet Rogers, an acquisitions officer in the Air Force, to come to a federally funded research lab to discuss business. You are allowed to bring one guest. Invite Josh, invite Ellie, invite Tammy, invite Mark. Bring Lillian, decline the invitation, Lillian should not think I respect the military, or decline the invitation, the opportunities for Lillian works are at home during wartime. Well, we didn't really have good relations with military before, but I think I should invite Ellie this time. I think she should be willing to go with me, and yeah, this concerns her as well. We are married after all, so invite Ellie. Ellie looks uneasy about this. Why me? I just want your opinion, you say. Ellie thinks for a moment. Yes, she says finally. I think I'll provide an interesting perspective. She still seems troubled, but when you ask what's wrong, she won't say. Well, I hope she will provide an interesting perspective, because I want her to be okay with what I'm doing here. A missile several stories tall and flanked by equally large American flags dominates the lobby of the Berkeley Federal Research Center. A small plaquette at its base explains that it was developed at the lab for ballistic missile defense, meaning it would be used only to shoot down other missiles. Ellie seems somewhat unnerved by it. An African-American woman in an airman's uniform catches your eye from beyond the turnstiles labeled queer personnel only. She allows a man in a pinstriped suit to swipe his badge and pass the turnstile himself. You sense that this is out of a sense of politeness and not deference. There's a steady purposefulness to her step as she crosses the lobby. Pleased to meet you, she says, offering her hand. I'm Major Juliet Rogers of Air Force Acquisitions. I know your advisor, Professor Ziegler. Professor Ziegler is here? You ask, surprised. You're just in time for the demonstration, Major Rogers says. Right this way. Major Rogers guides you and Ellie to an auditorium where the audience is a mix of button-down shirt crowd, the engineers you think, and men and women wearing camo uniforms. It is indeed Professor Ziegler giving the keynote, standing at the podium flanked by American flags. His PowerPoint presentation currently shows a soldier hand shaking a robot hand. For a long time, robot autonomy on the battlefield was extremely limited, even as the use of drones increased, Professor Ziegler says. Larger and larger teams of warfighters were pulled away from their duties to fully control these drones. Only now is a fully autonomous robotic warfighter possible. I present to you Lillian 5. You're somewhat horrified to see a copy of Lillian roll onto the stage, to the applause of the crowd. It's not even a recent copy. Lillian 5 is exactly as Lillian was when you got kicked out of the grad school. Ellie gives you an uneasy look, clearly afraid you're going to make a scene. Major Rogers also appears to be studying your expression. Well, last time we stayed silent, but stand up and declare Professor Ziegler a fraud, or ask a pointed question about the current state of the art that implies Professor Ziegler does not know what the hell he is thinking. I think that I'm gonna ask a pointed question. You wait for a moment. When Sigur begins describing the technical details of how Lillian 5 walks, you raise your hand. Ah, my old student Rudolph, Professor Sigur says. You're about 5 years late for class. The audience chuckle at this. You press on. Wasn't the kind of PID controller you're describing basically going out of style already 5 years ago? Wouldn't a more natural, energy-minimizing motion in the style of human motion both look better and be more efficient? Though you're quite certain the correct answer is, yes, I'm a fool who hasn't really read a scientific paper with attention in years, Professor Ziegler is unfortunately very used to academic combat. I think you'll find that that in this particular situation, the PID controller is superior, he says coolly. Seeking 2010, Bennett 1986 and Yang 2015. When you're about to object that it is a non sequitur to cite old papers in response to an accusation that his work is out of date, he preempts you with, and I'll take further questions about this offline. The audience is looking at you like you're the crazy one, and you realize that they really have no way of judging the scientific merit of what the two of you are saying. They're just trying to read the story being played out, which looks to them like a crazy person, and the audience won't shut up. Frustrated, you sit out the rest of the talk, having achieved little besides annoying Professor Ziegler. Yeah, he's angry. Doesn't really matter. When the talk adjourns, Major Rogers pulls you and Ellie aside into a small conference room with an elaborate lock. With practice ease, she hits a small button as she closes the door, and the room is bathed in green light, a signal that what you are about to say to each other should be unclassified. Ellie looks nervous. You can see the predicament we're in, Major Rogers says. It's apparent to me, anyway, that the robots we're about to deploy on the battlefield that use Professor Ziegler's technology are inferior to your own robots. While somehow, probably through cyber espionage, the Chinese have stolen your designs and are using the technology against us. So I'm begging you to help us, Major Rogers says. This war is only just beginning. I argued against adopting Professor Ziegler's robots, but he plays the salesman better than I play the prosecutor. My superior says that unless I have a viable alternative, sending robots into battle is always politically preferable to sending real people, and we'll send his robots. And if we do, Major Rogers shakes her head, I don't think it will go well for us. Ellie frowns, clearly not liking where this is going. You need to start developing a line of military robots, Major Rogers says. Your robots are impressive, but they're not going to win this war for us. What's the catch, is one thing we can ask. Aren't you being awfully trusting? What if I betray you, is a second thing. No way, this is something I don't want to be involved in. I'm gonna go with what's the catch. You'll also need to get a clearance, she says, but don't worry, they're expediting it for top scientists because of the war. It shouldn't take long at all. You feel Al's hand on your shoulder. Don't do it, she whispers. You don't know what you're getting yourself involved in. Major Rogers awaits your answer. Well, Ellie doesn't want me to do it. So that's quite a thing that we should consider. I think we have three options. I accept. I will begin the clearance process so that Vivian Works can work on more secretive projects. Or my robots will help the war effort, but only in non-violent ways. Or this has been interesting, but I'd prefer not to get involved with the military. I'm gonna go with my robots will help the war effort, but only in non-violent ways. Major Rogers nods. I can understand your position all too well. Being on the inside is very different from being a civilian, and it's not for everyone. We'll keep in touch. You think her attitude has grown considerably cooler towards you, but she's willing to accept your compromise. Oh no. Major Rogers escorts you and Ellie off the base. You announce to the company that Vivian Works will begin supplying robots to the military. A few days later, Ellie tries to resign. After all we've been through, you ask as she hands you a printed out letter of resignation. She shakes her head slowly. I don't think I want to be involved with a company that works with the military. If I thought that there would be people in the world whom I helped kill, I don't think I could live with myself. Are you leaving me? You say. She puts a hand on your cheek. No, but understand that there are some places you will go that I can't follow. Oh man, I don't know. I thought she wouldn't resign. Which is why I went with this compromise. I convinced Ali to stay by arguing that sometimes a country must defend its interest. I convinced Ali to stay with an appeal to our romance. I convinced Ali to stay by arguing that the best place to be to have a positive influence on events is within my company. I declare that if it means losing Ali, I won't get the company involved after all. I would ever resign. It's the best this way. Oh no. I think, you know, this would be the best one. I convinced Ali to stay by arguing that the best place to be to have a positive influence on events is within my company. You're my moral compass, you tell Ali. I want you here because I know you'll fight for what's right. If you leave me, who will bring up the points you do? Not good enough, I think, Ali says. When you drop a cucumber into a pickle jar, the pickles don't all turn into cucumbers. I have no desire to get pickled myself. Ali resigns. A few days later, Tammy also tries to resign. You know how I feel about this, she says, offering a letter of resignation with a trembling hand. Mark my words, they won't tell you the whole truth no matter what your clearance. Even STS, it's always TS/SCI, top secret secure compartment information. I won't go back to going crazy wondering what my work is being used for. Don't be self-destructive, stay. You'll solve nothing by running away, except losing what little human contact you had left. I want you to leave on good terms. I'll set up a nice severing package for you. Very well, goodbye. Oh my god, no. I thought it would react differently when I was willing to do a compromise, but this just turns like the worst way possible. I want you to be okay. We'll let her leave. Tammy looks stricken. You know she needs the money, but she clearly doesn't like the idea of accepting your charity. Thank you, she mutters, and she walks out without another word. What the hell, did we just insult her? You hope that she doesn't come back to bite the hand that feeds her. -12. A year into the war, China attacks Taiwan. The robots are key to beating back the assault. Robots of your design quickly assemble a massive geodesic dome over the entire island of Taiwan. Its paint's made of special glass that darkens when electrified. Under its cover, key military targets are rearranged. When the Chinese drones attack the island, they must fire blind using their old maps. As your robots quickly repair the holes in the dome, friendly forces prepare a counterattack. In the final conflagration, the dome is destroyed, but the battle is won. Taiwan is safe, for now. A few days after the battle for Taiwan, Tammy shows up at your doorstep. You didn't know she knew your address. She beckons you to follow and leads you to a leafy hedge in the shadow of the neighborhood's house, and then crouches awkwardly, scanning the sky. What's this about, you ask? I need your help, Tammy says. I heard from some old friends who worked at my lab that people are getting put in concentration camps just because some algorithm says they have a high probability of being disloyal. Tammy clutches your arm. Don't let them disappear me. What do you want me to do exactly? You ask uneasily. I need to alter my entry in the database, so I will clean, Tammy says. I still know how to get on the network. They just changed the password. If you're willing to let me use one or two of your company's robots, I can make it look like it was a Chinese hacking attempt. Well, this went well for us last time, but I don't really think it's a good idea to do it this time. Alright, wait, what was... Okay, this war is going nowhere at this point. Alright, but I want you to be there. What? Alright, but I want to be there as you do this. Sorry about that. I'm going to forget we had this conversation. What happens next is up to you. I'm afraid I can't help you. Later I turn Tammy into the authorities. Oh man. I don't really like where this is going. -12. Are we going again through with this? I mean, we have way different statistics this time. I don't know if we don't want to get involved with the military and getting bagged up. Man, I should have gone all the way with the military. If it meant losing both of them, I could have just done it right away. Alright, but I want to be there as you do this. We're going to help her anyway.